started with the eggs. Every Saturday morning, 11-year-old Jake Mercer would sit at the kitchen table of their modest Michigan home, swinging his legs under the chair, watching his mom crack eggs into a frying pan, sunny side up, just the way he liked them. But one Saturday, she cracked them with one hand. A swift, mechanical movement. The yolks didn't spill. They just slid out like jelly from a mold. The pan didn't sizzle. The air didn't smell like breakfast. Jake blinked. His mother, Karen, turned her head in that too slow way and smiled at him. "Eat up, sweetheart." The eggs were already on the plate. He hadn't seen her flip them, and that morning, they were cold. "Do you ever feel like mom's different?" Jake asked his older sister Emily that afternoon. She was 16, wore flannel, and always had headphones on. She snorted without looking up from her phone. "Like she's finally losing it? Welcome to puberty, kid." "No, like she's not really her." Emily didn't answer, but Jake noticed something else that day. Their dog, Bandit, refused to enter the kitchen while Karen was in there. He sat at the threshold, growling low, tail between his legs. That night, Jake lay awake and listened. The creaking of the floorboards beneath his mother's feet didn't sound right. It wasn't the usual thump of her slippers. It was heavier, scraping, as if something with long limbs dragged across the wooden panels. At 2:14 a.m., his door creaked open. He froze under the covers. "Jake?" It was her voice, but softer, almost whispering inside his head. "Are you awake?" He didn't respond. She stood in the doorway for too long, not moving, just watching. Then she shut the door and walked away. The next morning, he asked Emily again. "She watches me sleep," he said. "Gross," she muttered. "She used to do that when I was little too." "No, I mean she just stands there, at night, for minutes." Emily looked at him now, really looked. "She did that to me last week too. I thought I was dreaming." The turning point came a few days later. Jake came home from school early. He was sick. The nurse called home, but nobody picked up. So he walked. He entered through the back door quietly, hoping to surprise her. But what he saw made him drop his backpack. Karen, or what looked like her, stood in the middle of the living room. Her arms were too long. Her skin, it shimmered, pale and almost translucent. Her hair hung straight down, motionless, even though the ceiling fan was spinning. She was speaking in whispers to something he couldn't see. A voice like dry leaves brushing together. Jake stepped back. Her head snapped toward him, a full 180 degrees, owl-like. But her body didn't turn. He ran. She didn't chase him. She just stood there, watching. That night, the eggs were warm again. The pan sizzled. Everything smelled normal. Karen hummed a tune from the 80s as if nothing happened. Jake looked at Emily across the table. Her face was pale. After dinner, she pulled him aside. "I saw something," she whispered. "Last week, I went into the basement. I thought I heard Bandit whining down there. I saw." They began to watch her. She still went to the store, still waved to neighbors, still texted like normal. But Jake started counting the hours. She didn't blink. Sometimes it was 7. Once it was 11. She never slept. At night, her shadow moved under the door, back and forth, back and forth. Emily installed a camera in the hallway one night. The next morning, the SD card was gone. In its place was a sticky note. "No peeking, Emily." They decided to visit their aunt. "She's in Arizona," Emily said. "Let's fly there, a week away, see if Mom follows." They told Karen it was a school trip. They left on Friday. And for the first time in months, they slept through the night. In Arizona, things felt normal again. Aunt Claire was warm and real and made burnt pancakes that tasted like heaven. Emily started to laugh again. Jake played outside. They didn't talk about their mom until they got the call. Karen Mercer, the officer on the phone, said, "I'm sorry. Your mother passed away 3 years ago." Emily dropped the phone. "What do you mean?" she said, her voice trembling. The officer explained. Karen Mercer had been in a car crash outside Detroit. Died on impact. There were dental records, photos, a grave. But someone was living in their house, using her credit cards, talking like her, texting like her, wearing her face. They didn't return home. Aunt Claire called the police. The house was searched. Empty. No trace of Karen. No fingerprints, no presence, except for a single note, written in red ink. "I raised you, I fed you, and this is how you repay me?" The neighbors had seen her, sworn she was real. But every photo the kids took, from holidays, from birthdays, her face was slightly different each time. Sometimes too wide, sometimes too narrow, sometimes smudged. They were moved to witness protection. New identities, new lives. But at night, Jake still hears her. In the dark, just before sleep, a voice whispers near his ear, "Sweetheart, I'm still your mom." The days that followed were shrouded in a thick fog of confusion and fear. Jake and Emily could hardly believe what they had just learned. Their mother, Karen, had been dead for years, yet someone or something had been living in their house, wearing her face like a mask. Back in Michigan, the house stood silent. The windows were dusty, the lawn overgrown. When the police finally entered, they found no signs of habitation, no belongings. Nothing that would indicate anyone had lived there recently. The only clue was that chilling note written in messy red ink. I raised you, I fed you. And Jake's mind was a tangle of questions with no answers. How could the thing in their house have imitated their mother so perfectly? How had it fooled everyone? Was it even human? Emily, always more grounded, tried to keep a calm front. But Jake saw the strain in her eyes. They both knew they were haunted, not just by memories, but by something still very real. At night, the nightmares began. Jake would wake up to the sensation of breath on his neck, to the faint sound of a lullaby sung in a voice that was almost, but not quite, Karen's. Sometimes he could see a shadow standing by his door, tall and thin, limbs too long, fingers unnaturally slender. He'd shut his eyes tight and pray it would vanish. Emily started locking her bedroom door, something she'd never done before. But locks didn't seem to stop it. Sometimes she'd find her window wide open in the morning, even though she was sure she'd closed it the night before. They tried to tell their Aunt Claire, but she thought it was the stress of everything catching up to them. The trauma, the move, the shock. But Jake knew better. One evening, while Emily was at work, Jake decided to check the house. He knew it was dangerous, but something inside him needed to understand. Pulling his hoodie over his head, he approached the faded blue door. The rusted mailbox hung askew. The porch light flickered weakly. Inside, the air was stale and cold. The wallpaper peeled from the walls, and the floorboards groaned beneath his feet. Upstairs, in the bedroom they once shared, Jake found something chilling. On the wall, scratched deep into the plaster, were words. I am still here. I am watching. I am hungry. He froze. The words seemed to pulse like a heartbeat beneath the surface. Then, from the darkness behind him, a voice whispered, Jake. He spun around, heart pounding, but no one was there. Days later, Emily found him pacing in the yard, eyes wild. We need to get help, he said. This thing, it's not done. It's still here, in the house. Emily didn't argue. Together, They contacted a local paranormal investigator, a woman named Sarah, who specialized in haunted places and unexplained phenomena. Sarah listened carefully to their story, nodding thoughtfully. "I've seen cases like this before," she said. "Entities that take on the shape of loved ones, trying to trick the living. It's dangerous, especially when children are involved." She brought equipment, cameras, EMF detectors, thermal sensors. They planned a visit to the house at night. That night, as darkness fell, Sarah, Jake, and Emily entered the house. The air was thick, almost suffocating. The temperature dropped as they climbed the stairs. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a soft humming filled the air. Sarah raised her camera. "Show yourself," she said, voice steady. From the corner, a figure emerged. It was Karen, or the thing that wore her face. But its eyes glowed faintly red, and its movements were jerky, unnatural. "I'm your mother," it said, voice distorted. Jake stepped forward, trembling. "No, you're not her." The thing snarled, claws extending from fingers once gentle. Sarah shouted, and a flash of light burst from her device, causing the figure to vanish. After that night, the house remained empty. Jake and Emily moved again, farther away. But they knew the truth. Some things don't die. Some shadows never leave. And some mothers are monsters, hiding behind familiar faces. If you want to know what happened next, subscribe, and I'll tell you everything.